Welcome to Step by Step. I come here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to take you through a furniture makeover step by step. This week we're going to do part 1 in a series. It's only a 2-part series. I am redoing a vanity. It's not a custom order, it's just something that I'm doing to sell in the shop. Originally, I was doing it for a customer, and then she decided to go in a different direction. So here it is at the flea market where I purchased it, and here it is in the shop. We've already begun the process of cleaning it. Of course, we use Dixie Belle's White Lightning. And it's a beautiful dresser. It's a little beat up. It's not too bad, but I'm going to start by removing the hardware. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This is one of those times when I am going to remove the hardware. You're going to watch me struggle with this, and you know what? I left this in the video so that you understand that it's not just easy for everyone all the time. The reason I'm struggling is because I didn't realize that these handles had little spiky things in them. So that was preventing me from turning it. So the screwdriver was what had to turn, and it was kind of a weird angle. So I'm struggling with it a little bit until I finally catch on, and then it becomes a little bit easier after that. I know we haven't gotten to that part yet. But like I said, I just want you to know that, I struggle with this stuff too. We edit videos and we take all this struggling out sometimes, but even though it's not a big deal, I just wanted to leave it in. Hopefully I made someone feel better today. So I'm still working on it there, but as soon as I pop this out, I'm going to show you, because here it comes. I'm going to show you what the problem was. Look, little spikes. They're meant to stick in the furniture there. So you can see why I had a hard time removing it. No big deal. We're on a roll now. Okay, and I just want to show you here that this piece is in pretty good shape because the drawer stops are there, which means I don't have to replace any of them. And they're also in the lower part too. Now I'm going to remove the hardware from the bigger drawers. Now, assuming, and you know what they say about assuming, never assume. Lots of times in these plates, there's a little tiny nail that holds them in. Well, guess what? This time there was no nail. I was proactive and tried to pry it up. That was an unnecessary step because you'll see, once I get the handle off, that it pops right off. So, you just never know. That's a beautiful escutcheon plate. That's what the little thing that is back there is called. You might be surprised. Okay, so that means we're going to have to clean that part again because you can see it's really well worn around the outside, and there's even like a little ridge around there. But you might be surprised that I'm actually not going to use that plate because of my plans for the decor on this piece. I will save that lovely plate for another project. One thing about this piece is the manufacturer was rather sloppy and drippy with their stain. I'm taking some extra care with this piece because I spent a little more than I typically do on a piece. So I taped off the sides of the drawers. And a little tip, always keep your hardware in a container so that you don't lose it. I'm also using some Dixie Belle mud. So there's a close-up of that pretty plate. Like I said, don't worry, we'll use it in another project. So I do go ahead and go back to the White Lightning. I keep it in a spray bottle, so it's handy. I don't have to use a bucket. If you want a more thorough cleaning, you might want to do warm water and a bucket. But I keep it mixed in a spray bottle. And then don't forget to use the mister bottle on top of it then to get any residue left from that cleaner so that your paint will adhere to the piece. And I repeat with the bigger drawers too. Like I said, the manufacturer was really super messy with their stain. I was really surprised. It's a Bassett too. It's a good piece of furniture. So I am using Dixie Belle's mud. Mud has like a sort of a peanut butter consistency. It's a wood filler. I like it so much better than wood filler because it's super easy to sand. So I'm just going in the places that just have these little pieces knocked out of them. This one had a little bit of the veneer off the front. Mud comes in brown, white, and black. Usually it doesn't matter because I'm painting over it. The only time I've ever had it matter was when I was putting a little piece on a mirror, patching a little piece, because then you could see the reflection in the mirror, an area where I couldn't paint. So now I'm just kind of going over the rest of the piece just to make sure that there aren't any more nicks out of it that need filled. And I do find one in the front. And I go ahead and apply the mud and fill that little area. An area like this is a little tricky because it's sort of a beveled spot. So in order to save myself some work later, some sanding, I want to remove as much as possible because I don't want to have areas that I have to totally recreate and sand down because then I might not have a smooth finish. So it's something you want to take your time with in order to get a good look. At some point you have to settle and just presume that you can't be perfect. You can't make it look like brand new. So this piece never really did come out, this area, but it definitely was a lot better than it was before we started. But like I said, you want to remove as much as possible just because you don't want to have to sand it down. Also, make sure you wipe off your utensils before you wash them. You don't want to wash this stuff down your sink. Just like it's going to harden on your furniture, it's going to harden in your drain. The next step I'm doing is purely an aesthetic thing. I'm using Big Mama's Butter in Orange Grove. I'm conditioning the insides of the drawers. Just using the best dang brush and generously applying the Big Mama's Butter. I wish you could smell how amazing this smells. It comes in Suzanne's Garden, which is kind of rose scented, and in the Orange Grove scent. It also comes in unscented. You might want to watch one of our brand ambassadors, Christina. She recently showed how you could use essential oils to scent the unscented Big Mama's Butter to customize it to your favorite scent. So perhaps you'd want to use lavender oil or whatever. I'm also taking that brush and I'm putting it on the drawer glides. You can tell this is an old piece of furniture because the glides are made from wood. I'm just putting it on that and you'll see it just makes those drawers glide really nice and smooth. I'm going to put it in there just so you can see what a difference it makes. It just makes them so easy to glide. So now I am taking a little sanding sponge and lightly giving the piece a scuff sand. You want to do that whenever you use silk. But because of the unevenness of the drips that the manufacturer left, and also I want to get that little piece that I put the mud in, I'm just lightly sanding this piece. So now I'm going to use Boss. So let's talk about that a minute. I'm going to use silk, which has a built-in primer. This is an old piece of furniture, and I don't know if it's considered a bleeder or not. Bleeding is when the tannins in the wood bleed through your paint. My paint is going to be a light color, so even though it has the primer in it, I don't want to take any chances because Boss is a stain blocking primer. So I'm actually doing 2 coats in gray, and it's just going to prime that piece so that my silk paint goes on beautifully. I may only need 1 coat of silk. We'll see when we get to that part. And you may wonder why I'm just painting right on the mirror. Why am I not taping it off? Matter of choice, but I find that it's much easier to just use a razor blade and remove any residue of the paint around the edges rather than take all that time to tape it off. It's a matter of choice, but that's my choice. So I continue to paint the rest of the piece. On my first coat, I used Dixie Belle's angled mini brush. And we do have our brushes back in stock. It's a synthetic brush. The first coat is kind of a scratch coat, so it's a little uneven. But I'm definitely going to do a second coat on this to give it the best possible surface for my paint. Again, silk has a primer built in, but I'm just doing this because I don't want to take any chances of bleed through because I'm using a light color. If you've ever experienced bleed through, you'll know what I'm talking about. So here's what it looks like when it's primed. And in between coats, I am using that sanding sponge again and just going over it lightly. You know, this is as easy as wiping it down. It's not a big process. So don't be worried about this, but the results are going to be amazing. You'll get such a satiny, smooth finish when you take this extra time. Honestly, I do a lot of textury pieces sometimes, and I don't always take the time to do that. But today I'm going to. Like I said, I'm taking a little extra time with this piece of furniture. Now I'm doing a second coat after I take care of all that sanding. And this time I'm using an oval medium brush. Kind of just wanting to cover a lot of territory a little quicker this time. So I'm just using this nice soft brush and getting some good coverage in a little less time because it's a bigger brush. And you don't have to switch brushes. That was just a matter of preference as well. Sometimes, you know, you think one brush is going to be better, and most of the time it really doesn't matter. It's just preference, what you like to brush with, what you like to paint with. So check out the difference on the top part to the bottom part. The difference in the coverage is pretty dramatic. So this is the planning stage. So this little piece is going to get treated with a sunflower transfer. So I'm going through this transfer and I'm just going to show you what's in here. And remember I said this is a 2-part series. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the second part. So I'm using Sunkissed sunflowers. I think that's a good combo. And I'm also going to accent it with Hampton olive. So on this piece, in these little areas, that's where I'm going to be using the transfer. So you want to make sure that you tune in because I'm going to show you how easy it is to get in those little areas with the transfer. I want to thank you so much for tuning in and watching today. I hope you like this video and share it with your friends. Give us a thumbs up. Please make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss notifications on the second part if you hit the bell. Join us at LaVintageDecor.company, and also on Instagram we're LaVintageDecor, and on Facebook we're LaVintageDecor Altoona. Stay well.